Hello and welcome to yet another wartime review. I really waiting for the day when I can start review with words welcome to first post-war review, but unfortunately this day hasn't come yet. But today for this video I got a really exciting gear, and as usual I should have reviewed it much earlier. I actually using this great device since last December. I wanted to gather more experience. I wanted to make maybe some more fancy videos than I usually do, but then 24th of February came and actually I ended with filming my regular talking hands video. But device is really worth attention. Actually, in my opinion, it doesn't receive full attention it deserves, and as you can see by the title of the video, and or you can maybe guess this device, it's Shanling's EA5. Soon after announcing and releasing their M30 desktop player, Shanling announced two really interesting devices, EA5 and EM5. They are pretty close each another in terms of design and most probably in terms of features, and they based on same firmware, form factor and so on. The main difference is that EM5 is more created for the headphones usage and it has balanced headphone amplifier, and EA5 of course created for those who want to use some power efficient desktop speakers or shelf speakers. And actually I wanted to get some stationary setup with speakers, and so I got EA5, and actually as the speakers I've got Shanling's Jet. They make a perfect combo together, but today we'll talk about the EA1. From one hand, it's a kind of traditional desktop digital to analog converter and amplifier combo that we've seen many times before, based on AK4493 with TPA amplifier that delivers 570 milliwatts for 32 ohms load for single-ended headphones output, if I remember right. But from another hand, actually it has pretty decent speakers amplifier, 50 watts for the 4 ohm speakers or 32 watts for 8 ohm speakers. Not super powerful, and of course it's class D amplifier, but in compact device with a pretty affordable price. Actually price is $140, and I will add links to the description. It's so in one device it's already a good offer, but Shanling gone even further, and actually they've added Android with streaming support here, and it became a really universal all-in-one device. It supports connecting to Wi-Fi, it can access your network attached storage, it supports some streaming services. Actually, it's not Open Android, it's Shanling's version of Android with their custom launcher, so there is no Play Store, but you can install some streaming media applications. So you can use streaming, you can actually including Apple Music, and it has bypass capabilities. And you can remotely control it, you can stream music here via Bluetooth, or you can stream music from it via Bluetooth. So you can see that pretty simple offer of desktop deck and amplifier turns out more useful with speakers amplifier, but it became an ultimate all-in-one solution with an introduction of Android. So basically that's all I wanted to say in the introduction. Let's have a closer look. I will skip my traditional unboxing part, it's kinda boring this time. It came in just a regular recycled cardboard box with manual, USB cable, power cable, 6.3mm adapter, so basic set of accessories that you will need, but that's pretty much it. So here it is. In terms of design, it looks pretty compact. Actually, design is kind of fancy, but in this case, actually, this fanciness goes against usability a little bit. It has a pretty thick metal aluminum frame. Mine is black. I've seen photos of a white version, not sure if it was released or not. But on the top they put a sensor screen here, and actually they made the top top lead of glass. It looks super fancy. Actually, this cool schematics here describing everything. You can see Qualcomm as a Bluetooth receiver, USB audio CT7601, all-to DSD upsampler with different inputs, coaxial, optical, auxiliary input, FPGA for the Qualcomm, then digital tonal converter, low pass filter. So all details are here. You can actually get the idea of what's inside without disassembling. But this top lead, of course, is dust and fingerprint magnet, so I have to swipe dust almost every day. But beauty is a thing that you have to pay for. And here located sensor screen, it's oriented horizontally. We'll show it, of course, to you a bit later. And actually this horizontal orientation gives you one of usability drawbacks, but more on that when I come to the interface. On the front panel everything is pretty simple. So here is headphones output and volume control. Also it's encoder, of course, it's rotating freely into both dimensions, meaning zero channel imbalance and perfect volume adjustment. And it can be pressed to turn on and off in the standby mode. And the LED indicator, it glows red in standby and blue in regular mode. On the bottom there are rubber feet providing reliable staying on the table. It's actually not super heavy, but heavy enough to give you that sense of solidly built thing. And vent holes. As you can see, all heat dispersion goes through the bottom. On the back side you'll get a pretty lot of things. So power in, thanks to Shanling that they didn't make the external power supply, and main on-off switch that you can use to toggle it totally off. And speaker connection terminal, it's traditional, but actually there is a one drawback. If you're going to use just wire without termination, it will be really hard to make it properly here, because power connector will be on their place and will give you not perfect experience. So I've bought Supra cables with banana plugs on them, and that was the solution. Here is Ethernet, USB, and here you can connect your USB pen drive with music, or you can connect external hard disk drive, and this USB input for the digital tonal converter mode, and optical and coaxial inputs too. And here are line in, left and right, and line out, so you can use it as a pure digital tonal converter too if you'd like. And also here on the side located a bit unusual micro SD card. On the top placed sensor screen, actually, to be honest, I don't know its resolution, probably something like 720p or I don't know. And it's not super bright, but for the device that is not supposed to be used outdoors, it's pretty okay. So we'll talk about the screen and controls in the next part. In terms of firmware, it's a pretty familiar Shanling interface with one exception. Instead of open Android system with regular desktop, you'll get their custom launcher that focused on the particular features. So, as you can see, after boot up, there are 8 icons on main screen, but actually, as many can expect, you can drag down this thing with settings. So Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, gain selector, desktop, game mode, and standard. It's 3 different types of sound enhancement. It gives you a bit different stage. And SRC, it's upsampler, and AirPlay you can activate here, and also change brightness. So let's move to the main menu. Scan songs, you can understand that it scans songs. Local songs by tracks, by artists, by album artists, and by albums, sorry, and by genre. And you can go back using arrows, or there is a floating back button, but you can select gesture-based back. Playlist, so it's a traditional, favorites, recent, and your custom playlists. Folders, if you prefer browsing by folders, here is my micro SD card, there is a search, mass operation system, and so on. So localization sometimes is not perfect, there are a few issues with that, but I can't call it critical. Streaming services, you can add one of your favorite if it's in this list, or actually if you installed one you can use it. Here is Apple Music. It starts, took some time to load, but actually after loading it starts working. And here is probably the main usability issue here. Buttons are tiny. Actually Apple Music is not suiting well this portrait oriented screen, so buttons are tiny and you need to be pretty precise in terms of clicking and tapping. Luckily Shanling have a dict player and you can use it to remotely control this device even with full screen mirroring, so you can get better remote control experience. So streaming media actually working, not perfect in terms of usage, but I like that Apple Music works, and I don't have any issues besides usability. Network services, you can see DLNA, network attached storages, SyncLink, it's remote control feature by Shanling, so Wi-Fi transfer, all that familiar things that present in other Shanling firmware. Input switching, local songs, USB digital to converter, auxiliary in, coaxial and optical. It's fairly basic and works as you can expect. In settings, so system settings, basic one are Wi-Fi, actually Wi-Fi 5G supported, Bluetooth, Ethernet, additional settings, display. In the display you can select audio, virtual key models, so basically settings are pretty minimalistic here, just all you need. And in the audio, actually fixed output sampling rate means upsampler. Low pass filter mode, you can select all that available. Gain, 4 levels of gain, traditional for recent Shanling creations. Scene, and you can see 3 modes. Actually I've used desktop one, but it's a matter of preferences. Actually difference is not big. Balance, boot volume, maximum volume, wireless playback quality, you can select the one you'd like. AirPlay activated here, and fixed volume for the USB audio. And languages, factory data reset, so all not that interesting stuff. In the playback settings, you can see it's already custom made by Shanling. Sleep timer, resume playback, automatic library transition, go to next folder, pause when headphones disconnect. Gain actually means replay gain, and close means off, so you can see that there are some issues with the translation. UV meter, you can activate, it looks fancy on this screen. Equalizer, playback mode, USB playback, as usual LHDC codec by some Y activated here. And firmware update, actually they released even newer firmware. So you know what surprised me here pretty noticeably is that Shanling updated firmware like 4 or 5 times during that period that I'm using this device, bringing new features. One issue is that their server with firmware update probably powered by some potato because it's really slow, but actually it's not a battery run device, so you can push update and go to do something, to do some housekeeping, and in an hour or two it will download it and will update. In general, of course, there is a space for improvement for firmware, and I'd like to see Open Android to install some more applications. And definitely not many streaming apps works okay in portrait mode, but still, you know, for $1,000 it's really nitpicking because it does so many things. Maybe not perfectly, but it does that, and it does them without much problem. Actually, you can see it went to sleep. I forgot to show you now playing screen. Not like there could be some revelation, but here how it looks like. So traditional now playing screen. Here you can activate VU meters. Actually pretty fun looking here. I'm actually can think about disabling screen sleep, so it will be shown. But in general, play order, so additional settings, equalizer and stuff. In general, firmware works, does what you can expect, and I like that. Speaking about the sound, actually I'd like to be a bit shorter than usual here, skip traditional example section, because in general, in terms of sound, it's just a natural type of sound signature without attempts to emphasize something or to hide something. It's just really balanced, so bass is deep, well controlled with nice texture without trying to add weight or highlight small nuances or add some overtones. Basically it's universal, fitting both acoustic instruments and synthesized low frequencies. Mids are natural, resolving without going into micro-contrast, sounding clinical or analytical, and at the same time without trying to boost dynamics, emotions or something like that. Imagery stage is good, noticeably above average in width and in depth. In the game mode of settings it became pretty shallow but wide. Probably it created to allow you better targeting in games left to right. In the desktop it slightly tries to improve the depth layering, and in the standard mode it's just a basic option as is. Treble is also natural, balanced with normal overtone, saturation and layering. If you activate upsample all to DSD, it can help some old poorly recorded stuff sounds better. I could select some examples here, show them to you on that screen, but honestly I don't see much sense in doing that, because it just sounds good and fairly well balanced. And as for speaker amplifier, to be honest, I can't compare it with anything here. With Shanling Jet it sounds really nice, with good dynamics, nice textured bass and nice performance in mids and treble with nicely built imagery stage, but I don't have enough experience to elaborate here more, because I need to compare with more speakers and with more amplifiers, and I don't have such opportunities. So basically I'm more than satisfied with its current performance for speakers. And of course some bigger, more power-hungry speakers won't be satisfied with 32 ohms, 32 watts for 8 ohm, but vast majority of shelf speakers will be okay with that. And of course true audiophiles won't listen class D, only class A, but you can easily imagine that class A amplifier would be like 3 times bigger than this, will be hitting like hell and so on. And in terms of Bluetooth, it works not great in both ways, at least for my tests. And in terms of streaming services, it also works nicely. I use Apple Music here, and I'm more than satisfied with results. So probably I will summarize it here. Sorry, of course. Before summarizing, a few words about the compatibility. With super sensitive in-ear monitors there is a bit of background noise, but not too much to my ears. And pretty power-hungry cans that drives pretty nicely. But if you need some really super power-hungry, probably you will need EM5. And speaking about the compressions, actually FiOS K9 Pro sounds slightly better with better dynamics, with more refined mids and treble, but difference is not huge. But here you're getting much more value in terms of additional features. So it's a matter of what you need. If you need just pure digital to analog converter with bonus Bluetooth feature, you can get few. But if you like the idea of streaming media, definitely this one will be a great option. So now to summarize everything in this review, actually I really like EA5. It's universal, it does many things and does them either excellent or pretty good. Of course there could be a lot of improvements, like bigger screen, maybe tilted screen, or like Aston Kern does, screens that you can lift this way, maybe vertical oriented screen. I'm lacking remote control feature here. I mean that infrared remote control that will allow you to at least do some basic operations like volume control or switching inputs, and I need that because I'm using remote control for my television and TV box. It's universal all-in-one type of remote, and I could have been able to teach some commands for this device and control everything from one device, but it's not here. But it's pretty obvious that implementing all that stuff will boost price higher here. But in this case, below $1,000 price is one of the most important features. So, and maybe I'd like to see all-in-one, having both balanced headphone amplifier and speaker amplifier, but it also will require bigger size and higher price. So you'll have to select what you need, EM5 or EA5, what suits your needs more. But if you're looking for some desktop device to accompany your computer and maybe for give sound for your living room, for some speakers, some headphones, and so on, it's a really great valued device. Thank you for listening, thank you for your attention, and of course have a nice day.